about these questions in your head. Do you know the difference between a pessimist and an optimist? If you don't, that's okay. So let's put it into an example that we'll all understand. So we're about the 8th week into the semester. So the last drop date is April 30th. So most of everybody who wanted to withdraw from a class probably already has. So this class is scheduled to meet every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:45. So the real question here is this class half empty or half full when you get here? So if you answered half empty, then you're thinking like a pessimist. If you answered half full, then you're thinking like an optimist. So today I would like to describe to you the benefits of being more optimistic in life. So overall, optimism has showed that you have an overall more successful life, better relationship with friends, families, and your significant other, and a healthier life. So logically speaking, optimists are less stressed about things because they're not really worried about the negative things that are going to happen, but more focused what's presently happening. So for example, to make sense of that, let's say if you were going on a plane ride, you were flying somewhere. An optimist wouldn't really be thinking about whether the plane was going to crash, you were going to lose your luggage, there was going to be a delay, or you had to make a sudden stop for whatever reason. They would more be satisfied knowing that the plane is going to take them from destination A to destination B. And speaking of, since they're less stressed, they're also less prone to die from other health issues. So for example, a study shown of 70,000 women from the year 2004 to 2012, they were surveyed every 2 years to see how they did within their health, and I actually have a visual of that. So on this visual, it's going to show the lower risk of them dying from these health issues. So of those women surveyed, they had from cancer, it was a 16% lower risk of dying, 38% lower of heart disease, 39% of stroke, and 38% of respiratory disease. And the main reason for that is because of stress. And another reason of that is because they're people person, so they love to be around people and they get along with people a lot better, which is also used as another coping mechanism. So going off of that, relationships. So when optimists are in a relationship, they feel as they shouldn't argue about things, but later to strive for a common goal, to use whatever criticism they're given as construction criticism to make their relationship strong. And a survey of 100 college students, couples in the University of Oregon showed, surveyed by Sanjay Sarvista, PhD, stated that if your partner is an optimist, both of you will be more satisfied in the relationship and more constructive in resolving a conflict. Also, another example shown that being optimistic in your relationship makes your relationship stronger. 41 couples were tested and interviewed before undergoing interim fertilization, and they were interviewed 2 weeks after that. So it showed that those who failed the test said that they had struggles later in their relationship and even led to divorce, or they broke off. But those who failed it and were optimists said that this experience had made their relationship stronger. Rather than to break them apart, it actually brought them closer. And lastly, optimists have become more successful. Logically, I think that reason is because if you love what you're doing, then you're better at it and you're more likely to have persistence in that. So another study that was shown of college students, that the level of optimism that they had during their college year on a scale of 1 to 5, for every point that they increased, they had a $33,000 increase in their salary after they had graduated from college. So overall, being optimistic in your life leads you to more success, healthier lifestyle, and a better relationship.
All right, Josh, what did you think? Josh, you're not here? For shame. For shame. Well, I guess I'll just tell you what I thought. That's okay. I like the rhetorical question at the beginning. Usually it's that question, is the glass half full or half empty? And I like the way that you transition. It really is the glass half full or half empty. So that's kind of a funny little way of looking at it, and I think that was does exactly what it's supposed to do, give us a hook to get into the class. The subject is nicely identified. You've got a very clear statement of your purpose statement, so I appreciated that. You do have a preview, but you rushed through it a little bit, and it was hard to pick out the component parts. And let me drop down to the organizational issues I'm going to talk about. I thought that the first couple of points kind of ran together a little bit. You do distinctly cite the third point when you get to it, so I could pick that out and say, okay, that's kind of where it is. Now, you do help yourself at the end. I think I've mentioned this to people before, that the conclusion of the speech sometimes rescues folks a little bit, because you did have a summary that reminded us of what the main points were that you were supposed to be talking about, and because it was clearer at the end, it makes it a little, I think it gives a better impression of what the organization of the speech was than you actually had. So leaving with a good impression, that's not a bad thing to do at all. I just think that it would be better to have it structured in the speech itself that way, but you do help yourself at the end with that, so it's not entirely a negative there. I do think that you need a little bit more information about the nature of optimism versus pessimism, maybe some information about psychology's research on this particular point. The studies that you cited, though, I thought you did a pretty nice job of explaining what the research consisted of. Sometimes we got the research, the description, and then the source citation was a little bit less than clear. Sometimes it was the other way around. We got the source citation and the explanation of the research was a little bit less than clear. The visual material is, you basically just have the one bar graph that you're using. I like the cleverness of the emoticons on the bars to suggest the differences. I suppose what I'm looking at is the disparity, because it looks like there's a dark blue bar behind the bar in front with the emoticons on it, and some of that is extending higher, and I'm going, okay, so does that mean that this is better? Is that the thing that's different, or is that just me imposing my judgment on it, and it's really just the numbers that you're talking about? So that was a little bit confusing the way it's visualized there, but I appreciated the effort that you made to make the visual of a statistical piece of information more interesting to us and kind of related to the subject. I thought that worked nicely. All right, thank you.